Let me describe two people. Person A is your cousin Mike. Back in 2019, Mike needed a computer for work. He spent $1,000, got a solid machine, 32 gigs of RAM, upgradable, repairable, a real tool. 7 years later, Mike is still using that computer. Now look at person B. That's you, today, 2026. You have the same $1,000. You want to do the same work Mike does, but when you walk into the store, something feels wrong. That $1,000 doesn't buy you a tool anymore. It buys you a toy. A sealed plastic box with 8 gigs of RAM soldered to the motherboard. No upgrades, no repairs, just a ticking clock. Mike feels rich with old tech. You feel poor with new money. Why? Because something fundamental broke in the hardware market. And if you didn't buy in before 2024, you're being locked out. This isn't just inflation, this is displacement. And we've seen this exact movie before. Let me tell you what happened to me. In July 2025, I bought a 32GB flash drive, $87. Not cheap, but reasonable. That exact same drive, today, $399. The same product, 6 months apart, a 360% price increase. That's not inflation. That's not supply and demand. That's economic displacement. Here's what's happening. According to TrendForce, DRAM prices rose 172% throughout 2025. Your RAM nearly tripled in price in 12 months. But this isn't a chip shortage. This isn't pandemic logistics. This is a deliberate reallocation of resources. Big tech moved into your neighborhood. OpenAI, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, they're building AI data centers the size of shopping malls. And those data centers are hungry. OpenAI's Stargate project alone could consume up to 40% of global DRAM production. 40%. One company, one project. Here's the math. When Micron makes 1 unit of HBM memory for AI, they sacrifice 3 units of regular memory. Every chip that goes to a data center is 3 chips that don't go to your laptop. Tom's Hardware reported that data centers will consume 70% of all memory chips produced in 2026. That leaves 30% for every phone, every laptop, every console on Earth. You're not competing with other consumers anymore. You're competing with trillion-dollar corporations for the same silicon. And this isn't the first time. Remember 2021? Cryptocurrency miners bought 25% of all GPUs. Graphics cards hit 4 times their retail price. A mid-range RTX 3060 sold for $1,200. Gamers couldn't build PCs for 2 years. Same pattern, different villain. Back then it was crypto miners. Now it's AI data centers. The result is identical. Regular people priced out of hardware they used to afford. But here's the part that should make you angry. Unlike crypto, which eventually crashed, AI isn't going anywhere. The demand is accelerating. New fabs won't come online until 2028. Analysts say this shortage could last 2, maybe 3 more years. And the companies making your RAM? They've already decided you're not the customer anymore. I saw something last week that made this real for me. A professional who refurbishes old enterprise laptops, the kind big companies throw away but are still perfectly good for regular people, announced he's shutting down his business. Not because there's no demand, people want those machines. But the price speculation on RAM and NVMe storage destroyed his business model. He can't source the parts anymore. The margins don't work when a stick of RAM costs more than the laptop itself. Think about what that means. There was a guy providing affordable computers to people who couldn't buy new, taking corporate waste and turning it into opportunity. A small business filling a real need. And the memory cartel crushed him. Not deliberately. They just don't care who gets hurt while they build their new market. This is the collateral damage of the AI gold rush. And he's not alone. IDC warned that the PC market could shrink by up to 9% in 2026. Not because people don't want computers, because people can't afford them. Dell is raising prices by hundreds of dollars per machine. Lenovo is burning through their memory stockpiles. And Micron? They announced they're exiting the consumer market entirely. Their Crucial brand is gone. They're pivoting completely to enterprise. The companies that make your RAM have decided you're not worth serving. Look at the laptops shipping today. More and more come with 8 gigs of RAM soldered to the motherboard. The same 8 gigs that was barely acceptable 5 years ago. No upgrades possible. The configuration you buy on day one is the ceiling you live under forever. This isn't a design choice, it's economic triage. Manufacturers can't get memory at reasonable prices, so they're shipping weaker machines and calling them cloud optimized. They're selling dumb terminals and pretending it's innovation. And who gets hurt the most? The film student pulling an all-nighter because their project takes 6 hours to render. The indie developer who can't run modern game engines. The freelancer whose laptop is dying but can't afford the upgrade. The school choosing between fewer decent computers or more computers that can barely function. Here's the analogy. Imagine airlines sold every seat on every plane for the next 3 years to corporate buyers. You can still fly, but only business class prices for the worst seat. That's the memory market right now. And this is just the beginning. This is what they're willing to do for chips. Imagine what comes next. Imagine what they'll do when AI needs something else you depend on. This is a preview. A warning of how they'll treat you when their new market matters more than you do. So what do you do when the system decides you don't matter? You stop playing by their rules. Step 1. The used market protocol. The consumer market is broken, so leave it. Go where corporations dump their equipment. Enterprise workstations, business class laptops, machines built to last, discarded after 3 years because of accounting rules. A used ThinkPad with 32 gigs of RAM still costs less than a new consumer laptop with 8 gigs soldered. Let the corporation pay the depreciation. You extract the value. But move fast. That refurbisher I mentioned? He's not the only one closing shop. This window won't stay open forever. Step 2. The sovereignty rule. Before you buy anything, ask, can I open it? Can I upgrade the RAM? Can I swap the storage? If no, walk away. Soldered components are an expiration date disguised as sleek design. Companies like Framework are proving you can build modern, thin laptops that are still repairable. Support them with your money. Step 3. Make noise. When your government announces AI subsidies and chip funding, pay attention. Ask your representatives, is this money helping regular people or just subsidizing data centers for mega corporations? The crypto GPU crisis ended when Ethereum changed its model. This crisis ends when enough people push back. When manufacturers realize the consumer market still matters. When regulators ask hard questions about market concentration. Silence is acceptance. The system wants to turn you into a subscriber of your own life, renting your storage, renting your computing power, renting capability that used to come standard. That flash drive I bought for $87, I'm holding on to it. Because in this market, ownership is resistance. If you want to understand the economics behind why everything keeps getting more expensive while feeling cheaper, hit subscribe. We talk about the systems designed to separate you from your money. See you in the next one.